Call the meeting to order. The vision of the Village of Valemount is striving for a vibrant and balanced community, and it's our mission to serve the community and embrace opportunity. So the first item is the adoption of the agenda. And I've got a couple things that I'd like to add, 2 items. Item 1, appointing an alternate director to OBAC, as a representative to OBAC. And item 2 is appointing an alternative director to NDIT. That's right. So that's so if I can't make those meetings, that somebody else can get in there. So are you guys cool with throwing that on the agenda? I'll move that amendment. Okay, all in favor of the amendment? All in favor of adopting the agenda? Yeah, we're good. Golden. The previous minutes, August 27th, pages 6 to 10. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Latimer, all in favor? Great. No delegations, no unfinished business. Item 6.1, correspondence for action, Valemount Curling Club property, building taxes for 99 Gord Street. There's a staff recommendation here that council chooses one of the following options. So they ducked out of that one, didn't they? Provide a grant to the Valemount Curling Club in the amount of $2,370.05 for the purpose of their 2013 tax account, of which is within the budget. I'll go through the other options too. Provide a grant to the Valemount Curling Club in the amount of $6,715.78 for the purpose of their 2013 tax account, of which $2,370.05 is within the budget. So the idea is that larger amount is not within the budget. And that amount is not money that's paid to the village, but it's paid to the regional district, the school, the hospital, etc. And then the third option, my favorite, is no grant at all to the Valemount Curling. Just kidding. All right, that's option 3. Do not provide a grant to the Valemount Curling Club. So let's have a little discussion about this thing. I think it was excellent that the powers that be within the village thought wisely enough to keep that $2,300 in an account and not spend it, not allocate it towards a major budget. And so that portion that we got from that 2013 can be, well, it's in play. It hasn't been spent. Councillor Latimer.
So the balance of the $4,000, 43, 45, 73, then would regional district waive that dollar amount?
That would be up to the regional district. They would have to apply to the regional district for that.
Might be more straightforward to go for a grant and aid.
It's unlikely the regional district budgeted that.
Well, I think that grant and aid has already been awarded. If you look in the permissive tax bylaw application, I think there was
3,000.
There you go. Already awarded, which I imagine is towards that. I'm not quite sure, but
Okay.
So I asked Lori for some help, and she mentioned that if we were to go, like let's say we wanted to do a moratorium for 3 years, just it's $15 on every 100,000 for the assessed value that we would spread out through the community users and taxpayers. Is that something we want
That's a really
to?
good point, but that goes more into that next item. If
I know,
he
they
makes a
sort of
decision
join
to
together.
tax exempt.
Yeah.
So that's in the future going forward. Right now, we're just going back to the 2013 taxes, and we have an opportunity to forgive them the $2,300. Like, no harm, no foul. But going forward, that's all. But that's where we're going, right? So obviously, we're moving in the right direction. We can have that conversation around that item. But it's valid bringing it up.
My only question is, so we give the 2370 this year. Well, I guess it's really like you said, Councillor Blanchette. It's tough to talk about one if we're not going to talk about the permissive tax exemption as well.
It would seem to me that the policy that we put into place and have been working on recognizes the work of nonprofits. So I'm not going to say that it's totally out there, that by the time we get to that agenda item, that we're probably looking for a tax exemption for most of the curling club, right? And there might be some small part of it. I'm not sure if that factors in. How is that fleshed out? Is the part of the establishment that is licensed, does that also fall out, or is that part of the exemption?
That also, it's included in the package.
Okay.
It's, the curling club is one entity.
Okay, fair enough. So we're talking an exemption for the curling club, full bar. So, yeah.
And if we don't approve the full amount, the $4,345, would that be able to be paid? And if not, then does the village want?
I don't want to be mercenary here, but
right.
Nobody comes to my house and says, Andrew, can you pay your taxes? And what can I do about it? So the problem with this was a little bit that we inherited a problem where BC Assessment just did not assess that property. And in 2013, 12, they showed up and said, oh, look at that building. That's worth $1 million, arbitrarily. Not that a lot of curling clubs get sold all the time. But at any rate, then we're stuck with this, right? So it's the reality, that's where it is. And it's, I'm going to say that it's the responsibility of the organization to manage that, right? That's where I fall down on it. We'll help them as much as we can, but it's not, it's not the average Joe taxpayer's fault that thing had missed the assessment for so many years and then finally got hit. And then now we're saying, okay, well, this is a non-profit thing. Let's work this out. I really do think that we're being really accommodating and generous, and it is unfortunate. It's a big hit that's there from 2013. But going forward, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's something that they can manage. They have a lot of other expenses to fundraise for, but at least they're not paying taxes, running a nonprofit organization. So,
can we ask a question to Diana?
At your leisure.
Okay, so Diana, if we cover the 2,300, can you guys cover the 4 or no?
Honestly, I would say no.
Okay.
The money that you guys probably have seen that's sitting in the account is pretty much the grant money that we got, the grant and aid, and the 1,500 from Vinny. We also got 2,000 from Monsanto 2 years ago, which I've kind of just been holding there. But if you take that all away, we're actually in the negative right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So for us to pull another 4,300 out, nowhere doesn't seem possible.
So that $3,000 regional grant and aid didn't go towards any taxes yet this year?
They paid it directly to our insurance. Our insurance is $6,007 a year.
Okay. So I'm going to do a little reflection here for us. Later tonight, we're going to be making a decision about making the curling club exempt from taxes. And what that means is, as a council, we're saying every house worth $100,000 is going to kick in $15 a year from now till wherever. And that money comes from taxes to cover that portion, or I guess is moved or whatever. That's a big deal. I'm just putting that out there. That's not something we should just think is not a big consideration.
I did a little bit of research about municipalities moving towards tax exemption properties that aren't the regular or permissive tax exemption properties. And there's a lot of thought process that goes into when to consider permissive tax exemptions. And I know this is on later on in the agenda, and it's not to covering this part of it, but it's a bigger conversation, I feel, than making the decision tonight.
So we've had a chance to ask some questions, that's right, and I think we've gone around once. I'm open to more discussion, but I'd like to see a motion. Actually, that'll help us frame it.
So we can cover the 23, but we can't cover all of it, correct?
We have not budgeted for that.
There's nowhere to pull out extra. We haven't got another secret pocket somewhere, you know?
I think one thing is about a secret pocket, and the other thing is we're paying on behalf of the organization to the other levels of government, right? So for me, I think about, as the guy who manages the tax money, or one of the guys who has a vote on where the tax money goes, I'm making decisions to say money from senior citizen on 9th Avenue is going to go towards this, not unsubstantial. And part of the thing is I don't want to be too harsh. I sit on a lot of nonprofit committees and everything else, and it's hard to organize. But you got to see that picture, and you got to play that game. That's part of it. So we've, I'm gonna sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was going to make a motion to provide the grant for the curling club in the amount of $23.70 for the purpose of the tax account, because that's what we can afford.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, Councillor Salt. Further discussion?
Yeah, the rationale, I would agree on the rationale that for this year to support a nonprofit to try and stand on its feet, to be able to get to make enough for this year at least, because I can imagine that it's a lot to be slapped with a bill like that if you've never expected it before. So for this year, I would agree with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All in favor? Okay, there it is. Okay, we've got item 7, reading file. So there's more to come on the curling club file. Reading file, anything that you guys wanted to pull up? If not, let's move to accept the reading file. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt. We'll go to administrator reports. DVP 0513. This is an RCMP accessory garage. The staff is recommending that we approve a development variance permit and direct staff to prepare and issue development variance permit 0513. So we'll get staff to walk us through can you walk us through the process of is there...
Of the variance?
Yes. There's 2 items here, and so
That's correct, but they need to be dealt with individually.
I got that.
Okay.
So we go with the variance. I'm getting confused. There's something that I wanted to talk about here. All right. Council, what's your wish on the development variance permit? Yeah, that's yourself.
I imagine notices went out to the surrounding properties. Have we received any correspondence back from anyone either opposing or supporting it?
We received a phone call, was it?
A phone call, that's right.
From the medical clinic supporting it.
Okay. Council, what's your wish?
I'll make a recommendation that we approve the development variance permit 0513.
Second it.
Okay, Councilor Blanchette. All in favor? Okay. Okay, development permit 0113. Staff recommendation. Consider whether to approve the permit and direct staff to prepare and issue development permit 0113. Approve the permit with some conditions, i.e. colors of the building, rock and wood on the exterior, landscaping.
They're aware of some of these conditions, they're being made aware of this? Yep. And they're fine with that?
James?
Please do. Yeah.
I had a long phone conversation with Katie, with a guy by the name of Nick Yarmy, who's the RCMP representative in Prince George, who's coordinating the accessory garage project. And we walked through the development permit guidelines that are in the official community plan, and there's about 7 or 8 of them that apply to this garage. And of all of them, for the most part, he's in compliance. The proposed drawing, for example, the peak roof is fine, et cetera, et cetera. And the 2 areas that are out of compliance, or not, I don't want to say out of compliance because it's not a compliance issue. It's the words used in the official community plan are these types of things are encouraged, these types of things are discouraged. So in 2 instances, there's things that are discouraged or not spoken about in his current plan. So the first one is color. And the plan, the drawings that are in the agenda, it just does not speak to color. And so one condition might be that, I think it says in here that it has to be matched the current RCMP building or has to fall in line with the development permit guidelines so that we have a color that's pleasing. The second issue that it does speak to is the siding of the building. So what they're proposing for a variety of reasons outlined in the briefing note is that they have the corrugated metal siding, and that's metal siding in all development permit areas, we have 2, are discouraged. And what is encouraged is rock and wood. So that's one issue we went through, and he said, well, you know, this is an accessory garage, it's a small building, it's well off 5th, it'll allow us to get this building built before the winter, et cetera, et cetera. And here's for these reasons we would prefer corrugated metal siding. And then the third one issue that's not spoken to either is the landscaping, which council could require to break up or to smooth the visual nature, the aesthetics of the garage.
Okay.
Second.
Yep, that's good, thanks.
Okay, so to be fair, I think we should seek, I like the shape of the second recommendation, but I think the rocks and wood on the garage is kind of excessive, and it is really far off this. So, I mean, the big thing is it's a big garage, and if people on 6 aren't concerned about that, a big deal. If there's some landscaping that sort of helps blend it in.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That'd be
As
cool.
long as we really push for the landscaping, that'll help soften it for the people on 6th.
Yeah, and then won't, I mean, whatever, not that we care, but it won't mess around with their time in terms of getting a new plan or whatever. They can use whatever plan that they've got. So we're asking them to watch the colors and to do something with the landscaping.
Yeah, I have the rocks and wood taken out of the condition.
Yeah, so I'll read that recommendation just without that piece. Well, yeah, approve development permit application 0113, direct staff to prepare and issue development permit 0113 with some or all of the following conditions, or with the following conditions. The colors of the accessory garage must match the existing building, and colors outlined in the development permit area design guidelines. Landscaping and screening must be provided on the side of the building that faces 6th Avenue. And a security deposit may also be requested to ensure above landscaping condition is met. Let's do that.
So council has to set the amount that if a security deposit is requested.
It's the RCMP, I think, I don't know, what is it? $10,000. No, okay, I don't know. Let's not put a deposit. What's that?
What's a normal security deposit amount?
It can vary tremendously depending on the value of the work required.
As the provincial legislation states that the security deposit must match the value of the work, so the cost of the colors and the landscaping. It can't be more.
I don't really think that we need to have a deposit in there. We've already mentioned that we want the landscaping and the screening to match the side of the building. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's getting a little picky.
Yeah. Fair enough. So we'll strike the security deposit thing. Anyways, that's the motion. Can I get a seconder for that? Thank you. Okay, Councillor Latimer. And further discussion?
No.
God, it's not going to be easy. Yeah, we're already over time from last time. Okay, DBP 0613, this is 1133 14th Avenue. That council approved development variance permit 0613 and direct staff to prepare and issue development variance permit 0613. Just gonna catch up here on my. Okay, council, what's your wish on this? What are you thinking?
So does this mean the burnt out building gets dealt with,
This
or?
isn't the one we're dealing with.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, this
8.3.
is 14th. This is 14th, so 1113, 1133.
This is the
Let's try and get-
single wide on 14th Ave.
Oh, right. I vote to approve the development variance permit, 613.
I'll second it. Let's discuss.
I thought it was within our bylaws that we're not supposed to be putting a single wide any farther up than what's,
Well,
this has been tried before, correct?
unless there's a development variance.
But there's this has been tried before on this street in this location? Thereabouts?
Yeah.
Not in this specific
Not in this
location.
location.
This is an undeveloped lot prior to this.
I'm gonna set this up for everybody. We've got a letter from somebody that wanted to put a single wide trailer on a property on 14th. And in the past, yeah, this is a tough one to talk about, but previous councils have really discouraged trailers. And it's a bit of a complex discussion, but the idea is they wanted to modernize Valemount from having trailers to not. That was sort of their vision. And so as a way of, but you can't just say, we don't want trailers. You can't do that. You can't just say, you can't have trailers. Instead, you get creative with the rules around what homes look like. For instance, how wide they are. And instead you rule on that. You make legislation based on some things that you can talk about. But the underlying goal here is that the direction of the policy was so that trailers, which, you know, with the wheels under them, everything else, and single wides, wouldn't be in neighborhoods. And so, just so everybody's aware, the building that's on this property is not a trailer. It's a manufactured home, and it's on a foundation. Its chief crime is that it's narrow. I know it's been sort of the goal of previous councils before us to get rid of trailers. I suppose that's something you can go for. For me, I would say one of my goals, having gone through the tightening of the real estate market from 2005, 2006, is affordable housing. So it's really important to me that Valemount has affordable housing. And this is an example of that. The other thing that I bet you that we're going to get into trouble with over the next few years is another way of discouraging trailer homes is making a minimum size for a home so that the home can't be under this particular size. And that to me is ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous now. That's just bizarre, because you can have some really nice homes that are very small and super efficient and, you know, be a great place for people to live. So this is definitely a change in direction. It would be a change in direction, but it's a change in direction that I support. I understand that this person tried to get a trailer on their property, and council didn't want that to happen. They said, no way, no how. And then that council got voted out to a person. So I'm not saying it's about that issue, I'm just saying times have changed.
What do our bylaws say?
Can I clarify something for you, Councillor Blanchette? It's based on zoning, and it's in the zoning bylaw. So part of 14th is zoned R2, which does allow manufactured homes of this particular width, and part of 14th is zoned R1, which does not allow. It has a minimum width that is slightly larger, 1 meter larger than what this particular home is.
And this one's going into an R1?
This one is going into the portion of 14th that is zoned R1. It's the third lot from that border of R2 and R1.
I'm sorry, which half of the street is R1 and which is R2?
East part, coming in from Ash, is
Yeah.
R2, and then halfway down the street it becomes R1.
So does this one start at the border, or is it over the...
Sorry, I'm not...
So you've got R2 and then you've got R1. Where is it sitting in the...
It's the third one from that.
So it's
Division.
out, it's not in R1.
It's in R1.
It's in R1, it's not in R2, and that's why we have a development variance. If this wasn't the case, we wouldn't be here. It wouldn't come to us. It would just happen and it'd be all good.
So it's not directly adjacent to the R2, it's, like you said.
It's not adjacent,
in
it's the third lot over.
Yeah.
How did that street get zoned like that?
I can't
Painful.
I can't speak to zoning.
The history of zoning.
Exactly.
So have there been any, other than this letter here, has there been any other phone
Correspondence?
calls or anything about it?
No.
This one really surprised me. I did take the time to speak to some other people on the street, and one neighbor, Morgan Backrack, said, "Oh, it's easy. Just build a fake front out, make it like 6 meters wide." Anyways, we don't need to get into that. But I mean, for him, it seemed pretty arbitrary, and it's good to have young families moving into the neighborhood. Because I'm all for that. That's unfortunate. It's nice to be super consistent and whatever, but we got pretty far in the process, and we've got a young family that's got a house on the lot, ready to move in.
So the first two properties before the third property then are in compliance?
No, they're vacant. They're the vacant lots.
So if this is approved, then those other two can do the same, and then we'd be going through this again? Or do we have to rezone that whole area?
If this is approved as a variance, it's a one-off for that one lot only.
So is there an issue if somebody comes and builds 2 houses beside this property?
Not as far as zoning goes.
Would it be recommended when it comes to the point of reviewing our zoning bylaw to actually rezone those 2 properties so that they
It might.
are 2 and tie into that one then?
I think one lens that we'll be using and I mean, there are multiple, there's a lot at stake here, right? Because we want our neighborhoods to look a certain way, and we want, and homeowners really want certainty, right? Why not? They're making an investment for life. But one lens I think that we'll be seeing sooner than later is if we really look, and I think we need to, if we really look at the sort of affordable housing situation with respect to Glacier Destinations Resort, that's going to force us to say, okay, what are we doing for affordable housing? Where is that going to go? Because there will be more pressures. There will be pressures to do everything, more of everything. Trailers in places that they haven't been before, as well as new neighborhoods of super homes and everything else. And there may be a thing where we find, traditional trailer enclaves on 4th Avenue are suddenly super home that are, 3 stories tall or whatever, right? So there's pressures there, and there will be a sense to sort of, okay, let's take a look at where we're at and whatever. For me, this is not the end of the world. It's a street where there's already trailers further down. It would have been great if it would have been caught pre-sale and pre-construction or whatever, but these kind of things happen. So
for me, I think it's great that we have a young family that wants to have a home and stay here and not be moving from the community. They've chosen to be here, and You know, when we're saying that we want to have children around to be in our schools and filling them up again, why would we discourage it? I understand, you know, any of the people that are there before, because I know if I was a previous owner that had been told no, I'd be upset, absolutely. But I think, like we said, we need to kind of try and work through some of these times as the village is going through growing pains and changes to make it work. I think in the end will be a better place.
I think we also have to, though, remember that there are rules and we have to follow them on behalf of everybody else that's been following them. So it's hard, right?
For sure.
You know?
In this case here, we've got somebody who really felt badly done by the 6-meter rule. And I don't want to get all legal or anything, but 2 wrongs don't make it right. This guy felt, when it happened to him, he was like, that ain't the right thing. The street already has trailers on it. I used to have a trailer here. And he basically zoned me out of my house. You're just waiting for my house to burn down so you could, you know, make it, you know, have to be different. Now I got to get a double wide kind of thing. Obviously, by the tone of the letter, that was not a welcome thing. And the idea is, well, it happened to me, so it should happen to somebody else. Ain't necessarily so. We've kind of batted it around. If you guys are cool, I'd like to take a vote on it. So, the motion's on the table. All in favor? And do you want to register opposed?
I want to abstain from voting on this.
Okay.
Myself as well.
Okay. All right. And did you guys want to say anything about that, or?
I just feel it's hard, you know, and I don't know what's the right thing to do, and I don't feel I have enough information to make an informed decision. I've gone and I've seen the property, I've seen the home that's gone in there. I just, you know, I know that we want the young families to come, but we also want to follow the rules. It's got to be fair. So I just don't feel like I can make an informed decision right now.
I agree. Same thoughts.
All right, moving along. Development permit 0213, Assagic Estate. We get to deal with the coolest things here, don't we? All the time. No, really, it's an interesting job. Unsettling often. DP 0213. And now this one. This is exciting. This I think. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about the Assagic property on 5th Avenue, and this is really, really pleasant. Just the beginnings, rays of light. The first rays we've had in a while. Those are nice. The staff recommendation is no recommendation. They just lay out 3 things we might do. 1, approve the development permit application and direct staff to prepare and issue development permit 0213. Or request that the applicant provide more information, or outright deny the development permit application. I would love to get our resident expert on this file to give us a little lowdown about what this development permit is trying to do, and what the applicant's hoping to do.
Okay. First, a bit of background on the properties. There's three lots there, and the blueprint we have is quite big, so it ended up being 4 or 5 pages in your agenda, so I apologize. But what the blueprint shows is 3 lots with the house sitting squarely in the middle of all 3 lots. And so the house resides over 3 sets of property lines.
That's why we always follow the rules. I'm sorry, that is insane. But yeah, there we go.
So the challenge is, because the house straddles all 3 properties, it makes the 3 properties, for better or for worse, a package deal. And it means that if anyone wanted to buy one, they'd have to buy all 3. They're all tied together by the location of the house. So what the Osadchucks are proposing are that the external boundaries would still stay the same, but the internal lines of the property would be reconfigured to, if you were standing on Fifth, they'd be like directly in line, like 1, 2, 3 in line, with the middle property having the house on it. The reason a development permit is required is the first of many permits that they would need to get. But our development procedures bylaw 580/2005 requires that any subdivision, so even a subdivision that just reconfigures the lines within a development permit area, must have a development permit to say that, yeah, council does approve the reconfiguring of boundaries within a development permit area. So the first step in achieving a subdivision is to do the development permit. So there's no look or feel aesthetics like there was in the RCMP garage, because we're not there yet. If they were to renovate the house, they'd have to come back to us for a second development permit.
The house is going to be made?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Do you want me to get into that?
Yeah.
So the nature of it's all on the agenda, but I'll try and spell it as succinctly as I can. The 3 properties are owned by Mrs. Osachek Sr., but power of attorney has been given to her daughter, Pam Clark, who's Junior Osachek's sister, who lives in Edmonton. And so Pam and Junior have both expressed interest in potentially certain elements, or if the subdivision was to go ahead of acquiring parts of land, but that's their business, and I'm not sure where they're at on that. The requirements would be that, and council could look to further cleanup of those properties down the road, or updates to the landscaping and to the house, like as the previous councils have requested. But in order to get there, the subdivision process needs to start so that they can start acting on it.
So the idea is you got one big valuable piece of chunk of thing, and so into different parts, if it's divided up, somebody would consider taking on that home as a project. But the thing is, you can't buy a block of Fifth Avenue and then have money to start working that project or whatever. It's just the scope is not right. So if we get the order of the properties right, then it becomes a doable piece. And now somebody can come to us and say, hey, I'd like to do some work, or I'd like to rezone this property. And then we can begin talking, okay, your house doesn't look that fantastic. Maybe there's something that you could do in the meantime, and we can work that through. But certainly, you can see how this is, that big piece of property with a house sprawled over the 3 sections of it is an impediment to the next steps. So this is just something we would do and say, and I mean, it's something, regardless of whether there's an ugly house on it or not, we have an obligation to help these guys get them out of the corner as well, right?
I just want to confirm then, on the application, there's a point that says attached is a letter of consent from the owner, and that only applies if the applicant is not the owner. So I didn't see anything on the agenda, a letter from Mrs. Johansson. Do we have on file the letter of attorney or power of attorney from?
What we've received is exactly that, power of attorney. However, I didn't feel comfortable putting the specifics of those legal issues within
that's fine. I just wanted to ensure we
Yes.
have that.
I have a copy from Pam saying that Junior's authorized, and we have the power of attorney that Pam has from her mother.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you.
I just want to make sure we're legally able to do this.
Okay.
Your worship.
Yes.
Just a few other points. Subdividing the property in a different configuration would have zero tax implication, not positive or negative, just neutral. However, if the building is improved, there is a positive tax implication for the village. The village had asked for an engineered report to state whether the building was salvageable or not. They have not yet done had such a report commissioned, but our building inspector has had a look at the building, and he feels that it is salvageable. And the one concern might be the time to renovate. They may not wish to be renovating within a 2-year frame that a building permit typically allows.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, we're just talking for this part.
Exactly.
We're just talking about this, so it's the first, like we say, first ray of hope we've seen in a while. So We've got,
I'll make a motion to approve the development permit application and direct staff to prepare and issue the development permit 0213.
I'll second that.
excellent. All in favor? Great. 8.5, we have before us the MMBC curbside recycling proposal. The staff recommendation, after much research, is that council decline to accept the offer from MMBC to the Village of Valemount and just authorize staff to let MMBC know.
I make a
Yep.
motion that we do exactly that.
Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Great. Economic Development Officer report, motion to receive. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette. Public Works report. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Councillor Salt?
Just wondering, were we having any problems with the airport fuel? There was an item on the report about locks at the airport for the fuel filling station.
We weren't having a problem with the fuel filling station. It was simply access. We've changed the locks on a number of our facilities because we've recognized that over the years, a lot of unauthorized keys are out there. And we've noticed access to the airport that was unauthorized. But we have not noticed missing fuel.
Okay, perfect, that's all. Everything was.
Okay. Moving to the next item, Building Inspector's report. Motion to Councillor Bullock, Councillor Latimer, all in favor? Okay, great. Just yell out if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, but we're moving fast here. Okay, financial report, here we go, permissive tax exemptions. Okay, so page 92, let me get to my piece here. Council, let's, how are you feeling about this?
I feel like how can you, like you spoke earlier, how do you, all of a sudden, how does everybody's taxes go up by $15 without asking them if they want their taxes to go up $15? Yep.
It's $15 per 100,000 of
Per
assessment.
$100,000, sure.
So that's going to be $60 per person based on $476,000 for the 3 properties.
That's on
We're in the
100,000
permissive?
on your own property, right?
Yeah, thank you.
The value of your property.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if I own a $100,000 house,
Right.
the implication for me would be $15.
Okay, all right, sorry.
$15. But I mean, the other thing too is what we have to recognize, sorry, I'm gonna totally, this is so serpentine, but the idea is back in 2013, the curling club volunteered to take up, they reduced their taxes by paying on that assessment. There was new assessment introduced into the community and they picked up that part of the tax bill for 2013. No, seriously, it's true. They absolutely did.
That was a big tax assessment.
Yeah,
That was a property that was worth a large amount of money to come into tax assessment.
that's right. And so that's what we consider taking out. I feel like I'm going to hell, but.
Well, I mean,
No,
it's the
Yeah, talk about
community, the taxpayers are using these services.
Yeah.
Like it's not strangers coming in off the street that are using the curling club, it's all of us. right?
Community
It's
groups.
the community.
And I think, I mean, it rankled me from the beginning that we had to like double tax. So you tax people to run the organization and then you know, by them volunteering to do it and somehow come up with propane and everything else to run the facility. And then you make them pay taxes on top of that. That's my feeling anyways, sorry. But let's have a discussion. Maybe we should go around the table because I think we all probably bring a different perspective to this. Councillor Salt, how are you feeling?
Well, I think when you look at the fact that it's 3 different organizations that are applying, and these are all organizations that, you know, are fairly well used in the community, I absolutely feel that has to be an implication and a hard impact for them being nonprofit organizations. Like the mayor has said, you know, basically they're putting in hours and hours and hours of volunteer time, doing fundraising, trying to keep their doors open for the community. They're doing bursaries for the students. And then to have to try and come up with property taxes on top, but it certainly is a burden. So, you know, I think if we're going to look at doing it for one organization and we have the policy in place for organizations to apply, then let's try and find a way to make it work, to help all of them stay in the community for the citizens. I'm just wondering, do we need to open it up to some kind of a public forum and let the public give their input on how they feel about it?
I think that's a good idea since we're asking them to pay extra.
I kind of feel it in my heart that this is a good one. You know, the idea, I know it seems like extra. And the other thing is too, is I don't want to bank on a zero-sum game. And sometimes we get caught in, well, this is our assessment and this is how the taxes go out and whatever else. And we're never going to reduce costs and we're never going to have more tax coming into the community. But that's not the case. Valemount's growing. There's going to be more assessment coming on, and it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like every year we just go and say, okay, you know, who's tagged out, and then everybody else's taxes increase. So I've got a positive vision for the future, and I just, if I could put it to you this way, we'll just take the curling club out of it, because that was a bit of it. They're included in this policy, but if you look at, think about the Lions. The Lions have been doing, what do they pay per year?
Just under 1,000.
Yeah. And so on top of their phone bill or whatever, I mean, lately the population's been so skinny and the you know, with the mill closed and the lack of volunteers and stuff, there's been times, I'm not sure if they have a phone right now in the office, you know, at the community, at the hall that they have there. And then the Legion, they just do great work. So if we take off the burden from these guys, what are we going to see in our community? And that's sort of the positive way of looking at it, right? So yeah, I want to tax people. I want to tax, you know, what makes sense, right? And I don't mind paying taxes at my home. I don't mind paying for the garbage service that I get and the water and the sewer and the streets. And I think it's a heck of a good deal. But there's some things that I don't think need to be on the tax roll, like the work of these nonprofit organizations, the Legions, the Lions, and I also think the Curling Club too.
I think we should just make it clear too that this estimated $15 per 100,000 assessed is if we were to grant 100% exemption, not just a partial. That's if we were granting 100% property tax exemption. So they would not have to pay any portion.
Can I just ask a question too? Is to this permissive tax exemption, is this for just 2014 then?
Correct.
They have to reapply.
Comes up every year.
Yeah.
Right,
And for churches
but yes, of course, okay. Just in lieu of having, taking it to the people, we do it for 1 year, we will certainly hear from the people.
I agree that these three organizations have the passion for our community, number one, and the heart, like you say. So, you know, for $15 for $100,000 for any of us, even if we don't use those organizations, I mean, I think it's a small drop in the bucket to be able to allow them to continue on doing what they're doing.
And maybe this will spur people on to use the facilities more, which will generate more funds, which will keep everything going, right?
Yeah.
You know.
I think we should take a vote now. I'm feeling warm and fuzzy. Let's take a vote. Have we got it? Have we put the motion on the floor? Yeah. Councillor Salt?
That mayor and council are to grant all organizations who submitted a permissive exemption application for the 2014 tax year a 100% exemption.
Second.
Councillor Blanchette. All in favor? All right. Okay. We have the accounts payable report for August 2013. Councillor Bullock, yeah. Councillor Latimer, all in favor. Progress report for August 2013 from the Director of Finance again. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor. Bylaws and policies are none. Moving on to council reports.
I'll go.
Yeah, Councillor Salt. Okay.
I had a little bit of a quiet time as well, but I took a very well-needed visit to Edmonton to see some family that are aging. So, but I did have a wonderful event happen on Saturday, and that was the official opening and unveiling of the Bigfoot Trail, where our MLA Kathy Bond was present, and we had a nice Shirley Bond, Kathy McLeod. I've been attending all these different presentations, sorry. Shirley Bond. And we did have a nice small group of people. It was such a busy day with different events with the marathon, and there was a couple of yard sales. The Legion was having a sale, but we did have a small group of supporters there for the trail as well. And Minister Bond was saying either it's going to be a group of happy people or a group of protesters. So she was happy to see they were happy. So that was really great. And I also had a Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association working group meeting. And it was a really great meeting this time because not only did we have Loran Martin, who's the president of the BC caucus there from McBride, but we also had Willow McDonald from Blue River. She's a director on the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. She's the vice president of the BC caucus, so she's going to be working with us on organizing and planning. We also had Don Grimble, he's the executive director with Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Station out of Edmonton. He was present just to give us some feedback on what's worked in the past, what hasn't, and he seemed to be very positive and excited about the direction we're going. So we're going to be busy over the next 8 months. We're on an 8-month countdown, but we're planning a really great, exciting event leading up to the May Long weekend next year. So hopefully we can have the community welcome all of the delegates and their partners for a great weekend. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I went to the community forest meeting yesterday, which we had a really great presentation from Chris Ortner, who is a registered forest practitioner, and he was talking about the Bridges 2 project, which was the the economic development barrier to McBride corridor project that was, and it's funded by OBAC and SciBac and a couple of other forestry, Columbia Basin Trust, the Community Forest Association, and the Federation of BC Woodlot Associations. And he was kind of sniffing around up and down the valley to see what sort of economic opportunities there were for the forestry sector, and gave us a summary of what he's been doing. And what I wanted to mention, though, was he was putting together a directory of value added wood manufacturers in our area here, and if anybody would like to be put on that directory, to give Craig Pryor a call at the community forest office. There'll also be an ad in the newspaper offering that, but I think it brought a lot. I got really excited about it because I think that we do have potential here. There's some exciting things happening with the price of lumber and in the forestry industry in general, that we still have a lot of opportunity to use forestry as an industry here in Valemount. And then today I went to a tourism meeting with Councillor Latimer, and that's about it. Oh, and of course, Shirley Bond, Bigfoot Trail opening with Sandy.
Bigfoot up here? I heard you might.
No, but Marion was there.
Even better. More hysterical, sorry.
I attended a lot of meetings over the last couple of weeks, but none in regards to council. And I just wanted to remind everybody that next Saturday, the 21st, VARDA's having their cleanup out at Allen Creek. So from what I heard, there's quite a few people coming from out of town. So you do need a quad in order to go, because we're going right into the Alpine and hauling out the garbage.
Good deal. That's it.
That's it.
I did nothing for council in the last 2 weeks. First time ever, or second time, I guess. But I did on Sunday. I attended with great pride the ovarian cancer walk in Kamloops, and our whole group in Kamloops, which was about 70 people. For the third year, we raised just over $14,000. And I went with Gail Burbage, my friend, who has had this horrific thing, and it was great. It was 5-kilometer walk in muggy heat. It was awful, but we did it. We got shirts and we feel really good and we're ready for next year, so get ready.
Minister Bond recognized Councillor Blanchette for all her great work with the healthy communities and your Valemount Walks Around the World project at the unveiling of the Bigfoot Trail. So she recognized you weren't there, but she did recognize the great work you're doing with Northern Health and the healthy communities. So wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Okay, good.
That's cool. I attended the staff helped put on and the community market put on the protective services evening, so I went there and hung out with firefighters and police, and that was really cool. That was a neat piece. Nice to recognize them and nice for them to come out. The Bigfoot Trail opening was great. I had a chance to meet with Sergeant Worcello and just catch up on what's going on in the community and what his sort of hopes and dreams are. And we are so lucky to have that guy. He's so forward thinking, like he really is. Really talking about all the different ways he's getting the RCMP involved in the schools, etc. You know, the DARE program is there, but there's other meaningful ways too. So yeah, really cool. Of course, we're all getting ready for UBCM, or 3 of us are headed down there, and it is a madhouse as usual. Conflicting meetings and everything else, and there's every organization that we're a part of wants us to go there and meet with ministers with them as well as us. But we'll see it through and achieve a bunch of stuff. I also had a great meeting with Minister Bond after the Bigfoot Trail thing. I just sort of spoke about some of those things that we'll be taking to UBCM, and it's nice to sort of just knock it around with her and just say, how does she see it, and what are the words like, and whatever, so that when we do get a little bit of time with the ministers, it's something that they can recognize, and it's not too grandiose, but doable. So that was great, and yeah. Anyways, another little personal piece I'll just mention quickly is I got to participate in the Mount Robson Marathon. I just want to thank all the volunteers that put that on. It was amazing. I had a cousin come from Toronto to participate. Yeah, and he did the full marathon.
Wow.
And you want to know something funny that I found out for him just before he raced? We were at, you race at 850 meters and you go up to 2,000 meters. He was training at 78 meters. Oh. That's the wrong way to train people.
Yeah.
You train at 2,000 meters and then you race at 78 meters because then it's really easy, you get more oxygen and everything. Anyways, my cousin got to the info center and back up to Berg Lake in 6.5 hours. Now I'm just saying, I mean, I don't care if you think that's walking or whatever. That is fast. A body just does not do that. And it was pretty cool. I think the shortest time was 3 hours something. It was insane. We met that guy coming actually as I was driving. So I did the half marathon, and so as we were going up, this guy was whipping past down the trail, and these German guys were there, and it was the first guy that was coming back. So I guess he saw the backs of the our racers going up, but he hadn't seen anybody coming down yet, and this guy was ripping, just blasting, and the German guy turns around and is like, what's going on? And the other guy's like, maybe it was a bear. Anyways, they're joking around. It was very funny, and yeah, fantastic event, and thank you very much to Patricia and Daryl and Jennifer from Valemount Tourism and all the volunteers. Holy smokes, like 50, 60 volunteers. And what a difficult, very quickly though, that marathon, like that stuff just doesn't get itself up there. Somebody's got to hike that stuff in. Or a helicopter it in, but you got to get it to every 4 kilometers along with it. Crazy. So fun, so awesome. And 280 people attended, 300 people signed up, so it was fully booked up. And 280 people actually showed up. So only 20 people were like smart and saying, you know, I haven't done the training. And that's okay, I'm not going to go.
And last year there was only 150 people. So
only 150 people allowed.
Wow.
So there you go. Fantastic.
That's great.
Okay, so a motion to accept reports. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt. Just go with that. No new business? That's there is.
2, back.
2. Oh, yeah, okay, so regarding, there's an opportunity for an alternate for the Almanica Beetle Action Coalition. And it was just neglectful on my part that I hadn't, and it wasn't very clear to me, but it's become clear to me since that I'm able to appoint an alternate. So this is good because those meetings piggyback on the regional district meetings, and currently Councillor Bullock is the alternate. So she's already in Prince George. It would be easy for her to stay another night. So I would like to appoint, with your blessing.
I would love to, yeah.
Can I clarify one thing, Your Worship?
Yeah.
To the regional district, the appointment is annual.
Yeah.
Needs to be renewed every year.
Yeah.
Do you know what the terms for the OBAC and NDIT appointments are?
Probably annual, so we can do it again. But we'll do it for the remainder of the term, and then we can do it again at the beginning of the year when we redo the regional district.
For now, this resolution takes us to the end of 2013?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'll second that, yeah.
Excellent. All in favor? Okay, and for the same reasons, I'd like to appoint Councillor Bullock as the alternate to the Northern Development Initiative Trust. Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so there's a list of council resolutions just for information. There's a calendar, and I'm really pleased. I really want to thank staff for my personal calendar and for our calendar that we're going. The UBCM one is filled up with all of these dates or whatever. It's going to be really easy for us to manage. Not on this calendar, but on our, when we go down, we'll have like a smartphone type calendars.
Like on our iCloud?
Exactly. And so if there's a change in date, we all have a change in location where we all have access to that. It's just going to be very easy to handle. So just that's for information as well, the September and October calendar of events. That moves us to the public comment period. I'd like to open it up to public comments. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes each regarding an item on the current council agenda on topics that we don't normally deal with just at the front office. You have to state your name and address, and you should address me because I'm the chair. And then other stuff, but you're not going to get into trouble like that. So.
Gord, 901 Elm Street. Just want to say good work tonight.
Well, thank you. Okay. All right, let's quickly close public comments.
I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, Diana Smith, 935 Evan Crescent.
Yeah.
In regards to the Valemount Crown Club.
Of course.
You guys spoke about regional district and applying through the grants through them. Can you clarify that?
I did notice.
For the tax portion.
Yeah. So I think I would just get in touch with Director Ken Sarchuk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just see. So unlike, this is an important point, regional district directors have a discretionary fund that they, I think typically it's around $50,000 throughout the year. And you'll notice that very little, like sometimes when organizations are caught, or typically when there's like a 4-H thing and they're showing off cows, it's rural related or whatever, you know, these kind of things, they have a little pot of money that they can go towards it. Because unlike a council, they don't have, it just works different. Council, we raise taxes, and while some of those are directed towards specific services, in the regional district, every cent that they raise goes towards a particular service. So that would mean that the regional district, if there wasn't a grant and aid, would have access to no funding to do anything. That's too restrictive. So actually they have a grant and aid for various organizations that are in distress, or say something comes up or something that's really good that they want to support, they're able to do that. And so it's a commonplace that the village council says, you know, go look at the regional district. The regional district says, come look at the council. But just to set it up, that's sort of the context there, is that there is a little pool of money there. And why we reflected that is because what we said early in the meeting was, you know, we haven't spent the portion that was accrued to us from the 2013. And maybe the regional district through a grant and aid could do sort of the same piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have one more question. If the curling club, because it's on village property, give the building back to the village of Valemount, when I spoke to notice of assessment, because this was a whole battle going on back in the beginning of the year when I found out we were being taxed.
Yes.
They explained to me that the building itself was assumed to be village originally. That's why it had been noticed and we had gotten taxed this year.
I see.
If we give the building back to the village and we run it as a club, would we be tax exempt?
The happy,
Or, I shouldn't say tax exempt.
Yeah.
Because you guys would own the building, you don't pay taxes, correct?
that's right.
Okay, so if I wrote a letter to the village.
Let's talk about that in a year, because the happy news is, as of tonight, in 2014, you're tax-free.
No, because we still have that $4,000 bill.
Yes, but that's from 2003, I mean, that's from the previous year's tax, right?
Yes.
So we can't go back in time. But going forward, so if you give, unless you backdated the gift, we got to be careful about getting into this stuff
You're right.
during the comment period.
Could I suggest that the curling club approach the village, and the village can
We'll have
put
a
together
conversation
some
about it.
information? There's a lot of information that is
Yeah.
far too complex to explain here.
There you go.
Okay.
But we began a conversation there.
Council be in on that, I guess, is what I was wondering
They would be.
on the discussion.
Staff would assemble information for council. The council hasn't any information right now to base a decision on.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
okay. All right. Further comments from the public?
Why do you want to?
Yeah, it's kind of a combo. I'm actually looking at Ms. Beeson. No, oh, she's, no, not even responding, really. Okay, motion to receive the public comment. Councillor Blanchette, Councillors Salt, all in favor? Great. Notice to proceed in camera. As per section 90 of the community charter. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt, all in favor?
Thanks.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.